Hi, I'm Reverend Sharon Ketchum, minister at Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing on this day, December 29th, 2020. It's a very happy day, an historic day, for we closed on our new piece of property, our new Unity campus at 2395 Washington Road. Well, we didn't get to this day without a lot of other stops along the way, all the way back to the 1930s. So I thought it would be appropriate to take a journey through all of our homes up to this point, just to see the steps that Spirit led us through to get to where we are on this day. And to lead us on that journey, we have a very special guest, Nanette Podany, who has been leading much of the journey for the past 12 years. The journey itself has gone on for over 20. But Nan has done some great research on all the different places we used to live. We have a couple stories to share. So I'm going to go right into that right now. We'll just get our video started.
Hi, I'm over here at our offices, and with me today is Nanette Podany. I decided it was so important to invite her into the celebration of thank you and goodbye to Holmes Street. Hi, Nan.
Hi, Sharon.
And just think of whoever's joining us. I bet you will have people joining us that aren't even located in Michigan anymore, the snowbirds that have gone down to Florida and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have a lot of people all over. You know, we got some Wisconsin people and some Arizona people and Nevada. Yep.
So, you know, every time I think, shucks, we can't be in the building and say goodbye to it. But now we got this advantage because people that couldn't come can participate in this. So you put together this, I was saying you should be a librarian. You're so good at researching things. And you have gone through and found pictures of every home that we can figure out that Unity has had since it was birthed in Lansing back in the 30s. You know, boy, we are getting up to close to 90 years in existence. So I'm going to bring up your PowerPoint here so everybody can see it. Have a little title slide, The History of Unity. Yeah. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'll pipe in from time to time. And let's just talk about this. I was so fascinated by what you had found. These are just absolutely great. So what's this first one you found?
Well, I found that Unity came to Lansing, Michigan in 1934. They had a really long name, the Society of Practical Christianity Lansing Truth Association. And it's November 26th, we have it on record that they met at the Hotel Olds, and that was at 111 South Capitol Avenue. Now the picture is really in the 50s. Couldn't find anything older than that, but it gives you an idea that that's where we started with Unity here in Lansing.
You know, when I hear a title that long, it tells me a lot of people with different ideas got together, and this was their compromise. I think that's what happened. Oh, okay. Here's the next one.
Then they moved in 1941. They moved into the YWCA on Townsend Street. So I don't know if any of the people watching this are old enough to know some of these buildings, but it was interesting trying to find them on the internet.
I bet. The world was black and white back then too. Yeah.
So, this slide, this picture gave me fits because I had the address of 224 Abbott Road, East Lansing. And all I could find was that it's Rick's. You know, it's a restaurant and bar. And so I plopped it in there. And fortunately, Dan Maynard brought it to my attention that upstairs was College Manor. So I Googled College Manor and was able to just sort of focus around the top. So we must have been upstairs, the Unity Truth Association, which we believe is from the Lansing Truth Association. They just dropped the long Society of Practical Christianity.
They probably did that because it fit on absolutely no signs. Can you imagine trying to get all those words on a sign? You know, oh, there goes a siren. God bless. God be with whoever's in there. Okay. Oh, color. The world's in color.
Yes, we got color. The next place that we got is out in East Lansing on West Grand River. They said it was a newly incorporated October 23rd, 1948. The only thing I could do was to Google Earth. What was there now? So this may or may not be the building, but I'm judging personally that it probably is the house by just the looks of it.
You know, it was very common for churches to use houses. You'll see a lot of churches, some are still in it and they've renovated it or added on to it. And so this is one of our first split off groups, probably the East Lansing. They felt probably the group was growing and they needed one also in Lansing, East Lansing rather.
And the Lansing Unity Chapel moved to a house on South Washington Avenue. So that was in 57. So we've gone from way back to 34 and we're up to 1957. And this is also off Google Earth.
Excellent, excellent.
Oh, the old YMCA. 1965, the Lansing Unity Chapel moved there. It was on Lenawee. And I found the first picture I found, it was like an old boarded up building. And I thought, I don't want to use that. It looks dilapidated. So a little more research found this picture. It may not be totally like it was back then, but it looks like the 50s and 60s in my mind.
What a magnificent building. Interesting, we were at the YW and then we moved to the YM. 1965, I think something else happened that year. Oh, next year.
Yeah, the next year, 1966, the Lansing Unity Chapel and East Lansing Unity Center merged. And that's when Unity of Greater Lansing was formed. And they became needing a new place. So they purchased the building on 240 Marshall Street in May of 1968. Later, they purchased the parsonage and the youth building. And many of you will be familiar with this because it's a little more recent for a lot of us.
Yeah, and today, of course, there's another church in there that we sold to. So that's still an active part of the Lansing community in general. Ah, recognize this one.
Yeah, you take this one, Reverend Sharon.
Well, back in 2004, a group had split off from the Greater Lansing Church that we just saw. Kate DeMorgan was the minister, and there's a picture of Lucille Olson here on the slide. And Lucille shared a little history with me about the church, and I want to share it with you. She said that Unity Church came into her life during a tumultuous time of change. The teachings helped her to weather many further challenges and changes and contributed greatly to her spiritual growth and self-confidence. The church building on Holmes Street was where Kate DeMorgan, Reverend Kate DeMorgan, began her ministry in Lansing. Oh, a second for a siren, a little God bless again. There we go. Reverend Kate had been the minister of Unity of Traverse City, Bay City, Unity, and then she moved to Lansing to be closer to her family. She served for a time as associate minister at Unity of Greater Lansing, but chose to expand her influence by starting her own church. She rented the building at Holmes Street, but later purchased it for a sum of $99, a miracle resulting, Lucille believes, from Reverend Kate's consciousness. Many repairs had to be made to the building, which that congregation financed. In addition, many members of her congregation wanted to have a stained glass window at the front of the church. A local artist, Cora Hodney, was commissioned to create one for us with a dove of peace as a focal point. And we still have that stained glass, and that will be moving to our new building. When Reverend DeMorgan passed away at the same time, Unity of Greater Lansing was without an interim minister. So our two Unity churches, neither of them had a spiritual leader. The result was Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing. Under, Lucille used this word, competent leadership of Reverend Sharon Ketchum, our community has weathered many challenges, especially over the last year. To me, the fire department, this is Lucille's words, the fire department is a metaphor for the burning away of ancient grievances and has paved the way for a new beginning. The stained glass window that survived the fire is both a reminder of our past and a remembrance of our commitment to continue to agree and disagree in love. just as Unity teachings enhanced my spiritual growth, this is Lucille, it is but a microcosm of our entire community's spiritual growth. The universe has rewarded us for our faith and perseverance by working a miracle in its own time, in its own way. We are grateful. So I thank Lucille for sharing that. That just is yeah, heart touching.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful write-up about the church, how it was used, and who was in there, and what they did, the repairs and everything. I think it's a great story. Thank you, Lucille.
Yeah, look at the always the flowers are what changes so many times in building. Looking at the outside gardens there. Oh, well, you can take us back to Unity of Greater Lansing. What's going on there?
Well, in fall of 2001, Unity of Greater Lansing wanted to build or move to a bigger place. And at that time, the 127 was being built. And they had the idea that there would be an exit ramp right at Clark Road, making it the perfect way to get to the new property. So they purchased a piece of farmland and held on to it for many, many years. Unfortunately, in July of 2015, we did end up selling the land. The reason was that the exit ramp did not materialize, and to just tie into sewer systems, and the perking of it was not going well. So we just basically sold the land.
Boy, if we had crystal balls, we'd always know, right? But we make the best decisions that we can each time along the way.
Oh, yeah. In June of 2012, Unity of Greater Lansing sold the church building, the one on Marshall Street. At that time, we really didn't have any place to go. It sold so fast that we were scrambling. And fortunately, Carla Gates had a friend that said, well, we have this huge church, maybe you can rent from us. So they came to our rescue, and we ended up at Plymouth Congregational Church on East Grand River for about a year.
That's a delightful story. It's amazing how timing is like this huge dance in the universe. And now you sold Greater Lansing because of handicap accessibility. Was that the main reason you sold the building?
Yeah, well, parking and handicap.
Oh, parking, right.
Yep.
There was only about 6 parking places there, and the steps, there was a lot of steps for anybody that had mobility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in November, we decided that we would move to a different place. And so Unity rented a spot up on the old US 27, sort of in North Lansing. It was really in a DeWitt Township, I believe. And we stayed there for a couple years. And then things really started happening in 2015.
Well, in 2015 was actually the first time I attended the church out on Highway 27. I moved to Lansing in October of 2015. And of course, the first thing a Unitic does when they move to a new town is look for the Unity Church. So I remember meeting Edmund, walking in the door. Edmund meets everybody. He's like a mascot at the door there. And I met a lot of, you don't remember names the first time that you're at a church, but I do remember being out there. It was cozy. I remember the fellowship room was very cozy to go in.
It was cozy. So, but since Reverend Kent Lederer had retired, and we had a transition minister, Barry Bernard came in, and we just decided we needed to look for a different place. What had happened is we had put in a rent to own offer when we did that up on 27. So, yeah, so it was coming up to the time that we either needed to buy it or do something.
Mm.
So we put together a wish list, and, you know, handicap accessible. We definitely had moved from Marshall Street because of that. We had such a big sanctuary at Marshall Street, and where we're at on 27 was quite small. Fellowship space, we didn't have any, like Sharon said, it was really small. You know, you get like 3 card tables in there if you were lucky. So our wish list went on, and women were always standing in line. So we had to have 3 stalls. That was something women just really wanted. And a couple offices and a large kitchen, lots of storage, some multi-purpose rooms, utility sink, and a utility mop sink, and a washer and dryer. Now those were sort of frivolous things that we could get without, but we were making our wish list. Let's put it all in there. And we'd like to stay around 500,000, and we wanted parking. As you can see, it says 100+ parking spaces and lots of green space. If we had to expand or could expand, we wanted space. So, and we wanted to still stay in the Lansing greater area. So all those things were on our wish list, clear back in 2015.
Wow, that is a wonderful treasure map of, just check off all those things. Those are really important items for church. Oh, so you've been on the search committee now. So you started, did you get involved with the rental when they were looking for a place and you had to move so quickly?
I got involved when the church had decided to put it on the market, the one on Marshall Street on the market, and we needed some people to go looking. And I was one of the people on the team. And we ended up looking a long, long time. And these were just some of the ones that had some of the criteria that we needed, that we went through and looked at, or at least, you know, got discussions going on them. And they had to be handicap accessible, and the parking. Those were the 2 greatest things. We went from traditional churches, basically the Faith Methodist up in the left-hand corner. That had all the room we needed, almost too much room. And the one on the bottom left-hand corner is Christ Methodist. And what we found with that, it needed a lot of work. And there wasn't even central air in the building. Faith Methodist is where Fellowship met for quite a few years. And that was 1 floor, but it wasn't quite what we wanted. And the one on the lower right, I call it my spaceship church. I said, maybe we don't need it to look like a church. And so we considered that. I drew up some plans even on ideas of what we could do with it. But yeah, we just kept looking and looking, clear through till September of 2017.
I think I remember you saying at one point you'd looked at 70 buildings.
Oh yeah, probably 70 to 100 buildings, not going in all of them.
Yeah.
But people would give us, go look at this one, and we go and we drive around and we peek in windows and looking. And yes, I had everything on a spreadsheet with pros and cons on each building. And then as a team would go through and say, you know, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. So
a lot of drive-bys.
A lot of drive-bys.
And walkthroughs, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So back to Holmes Street.
Yeah. 2015 was a great year. Barry Maynard had talked to the Unity Spiritual Renaissance and Unity of Greater Lansing, just sort of talking to them about, you know, past history, past hurts, and all kinds of things. And in the end, we merged and became one. So in December of 2015, I was on the moving team, and I had everybody whipped in shape. I'll tell you, do this and this and this and this. And we moved into the building, and it's a wonderful building. It just served us well. And the one thing we did find out is the little plaque to the right there is the German American Baptist Church, 1928. And it was found across the street. Somebody was using it as a footstep at their house.
I love it.
Yeah, we moved it back. It's over in Christine Clemens' backyard right now. But that also led us to find a newspaper article. And we found out that that building had actually been moved. It had been moved from let me look at my paperwork here. It had been moved from Kalamazoo, the corner of Holmes and Kalamazoo Street.
Wow.
So the church has been through a lot.
I guess I can't imagine moving a brick building. And that's probably why that other piece then was added on after they moved.
Yeah, you're referring to the kitchen and the part that isn't brick, isn't 2 stories.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't go up as high or something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
the lower part with the flat roof, the back section.
Right.
I would have loved to have seen a picture of how they did that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the bricks didn't seem to crack. I mean, the idea, it's a very solid building as far as the bricks go.
Well, we know why. I mean, it comes later in the story. We'll tell everybody why those bricks didn't crack, because they were special bricks. Yeah. Oh, yes, I remember these. This is getting into my time now.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we stopped looking because it was way outside of our budget. I mean, even after we sold Marshall, we just didn't have the money, and people felt very strongly about no mortgage. And then we asked the question, well, what can we do here? So I'll let you take it from there.
Well, I have a background in kitchen design. And so I decided that it'd be fun to just sort of see what we could do to put on an addition to the building on Holmes Street. And we ended up coming up with the plan that's the foam board, and the one is the like a 3D picture that was our final decision of what we wanted to do and have. It was a lot of fun for me. A lot of creativity went into it. We really did a lot of plans.
Yeah. 81, that's the number.
81. Yep, 81 plans before the next slide happened.
Yeah, and you know, if anybody wonders about 81, every time we worked on something, we got new information, whether it be city zoning, whether it be cost impacts, whether it be new ideas of nice to have. Like it was an ever evolving process from a lot of factors. The patience you had in redoing, and you know, Nancy Cody did a lot of research and stuff helping on this too. Yeah, what an amazing process.
It was an amazing process. And you take this one, Sharon.
Okay, well, I don't know if I still can talk about it. September 8th, 2019, got the phone call at my house from Christine that the church was on fire. I truly thought it was going to be some little kind of a fire, a candle or something. We'd put it out. I'm thinking wastebasket, and I would go back home and get dressed, and we'd come and do service. And then when I pulled on the street and saw all the red lights, and it was a devastating fire. And it was, you know, right away we really got this Phoenix rising thing, that out of the ashes something new arises. And who knew birth was going to take 13 months, but I guess births just take as long as they take. But one of the most comforting things was 8:30 that morning, got the fire call around 6:30. Jerry at the Fledge came up on his bicycle because he had heard on the news about the fire, and he offered us his building immediately. So we knew where we were going to go next Sunday. And that alone, you know, and you looked like when the church sold too fast, you didn't know where you're going to go. I mean, this was it all over again. We didn't know where we were going to go, but God did. I mean, there was Jerry saying, and it's right down the street. We could see it from our building. And that started such a wonderful relationship with our community and being able to work with different groups. Certainly unique. It got us out of our comfort zone. We got to experience lots of different things on it. So, so there we go, meeting there for 6 months, 7 months, and then COVID hit.
Yeah, I think one of the things that it showed the community is it wasn't the building, it was the people. So it didn't matter where we were meeting, that we were together and we just keep having love for everything around us. And I think the love grew more in the Fledge than I had in a long time. I mean, it was just like we came together as a community. I have fond memories of the Fledge as far as meeting there, you know, going back to singing songs. And of course, some of this might be COVID coming out. I'm really lonely.
Yeah, it's been so, you know, we lost our home and then we lost our second home. And that ability to be face to face, and whether we roughed it, because, you know, it wasn't our place. We were guests there, and they really made us feel at home. And we got to meet people that never would have walked through our doors, because churches can be intimidating to some people. So I love the people that I've met at the Fledge. We've been able to work actively. You know, it's something different about taking things local in your neighborhood to share, whether it be food or socks, than to take it to another organization where it just disappears. You know, it goes out and does good work, but we got to see and be with people that we were able to help. Yeah. So after 13 long months, oh my goodness, yeah, it was really rough. There's the inside. Yeah, that was a great shot. It really was a total loss. I was mesmerized. I used to go in there sometimes every day for the first couple months because I just couldn't believe it. See Nancy's banners up there in the corner. Yeah, anyway. And then when they cleaned it up, it just looked like a clean slate, that it was really ready for whatever the next step was. And we had such high hopes as we were jumping through hoops with the city, you know, getting the zoning changed so that we could restore it and do our addition and make it handicap accessible. And then the gifts that we found inside. Here's the secret of the bricks. That's why the bricks didn't break when they moved the church, because they were Unity bricks. Every brick in that building is stamped Unity brick. And then the other surprise was this mural that was painted underneath the floor of the stage upstairs, the podium. And I think what they had done was actually repurposed a piece of plywood that was 4 foot by 8 foot. And I suspect this is painted rocks up in northern Michigan. But we were so surprised, and they pulled the ceiling down and they called me in to show me this painting. I got a picture of it before it was covered with the kiln spray to help get rid of all the smell. So that was, yeah, the building always had surprises for us.
It just kept on giving. Even in despair, it was giving to us.
Which really reminds me of, again, that, you know, the story of the fledgling of, at the end of 100 years, they build a nest and then light the nest on fire. And as they die into the fire, the new fledglings come out. But this is one of the stories that the church gave us. Lisa Schmidt shared this with me. And she said that when her and Chris first started dating, Chris and Jerry and some others had just finished painting the church windows. And every time they passed by, the church would say, I'm going to move the picture down here on this. Every time they passed by the church, Chris would say, have I pointed out how nice the windows are on the church? He'd even taken her by the hand several times to the side by Belinda's house so she could ooh and ah about how great these windows look. She said, I don't know how many times that they did this. The day of the fire, they stood on the sidewalk, and Chris said, the windows still look nice. And yeah, the windows did still look nice. Look how nice those windows look. So the firefighters had to break the window at the very top of the church for whatever reason. It was to see if, there we go, up here, where that, it was to see if there was any fire going up, I know, in the rafters. And Lisa said that as they stood outside, Jerry and Nan came by, and Jerry looked at the windows and said, I'm glad the windows weren't affected. And then he saw the broken window at the top and he said, I'm glad we didn't paint those windows. Oops, sorry, go back. And Lisa said she nearly fell over laughing. They did so much work on those windows, and it was days, and it was hot summer sun. I know Lisa Hastings was over there, and they were so proud of them to begin with, and then so happy they weren't damaged. And Lisa said she thought both of them would be thinking, she thought it was so funny that both would be thinking the exact same thing about their work. The church burned inside, but the windows still look good. So it's such a great story.
Oh, and then we had to have an office.
Oh, yeah.
So we got a construction trailer for a couple months, and then the city says we couldn't have it. So our current offices are now on East Michigan Avenue. It's an old house, but it is serving our purpose.
It is. And it's right across from Fabiano's Chocolates and the Soup Spoon. So it's a very excellent location. And also it was so close to the Fledge. It was so close to Ronald McDonald House, where we drop off the tabs off our cans and pop cans and cat food cans and stuff. So it was really a great location for us. Is a great location. And then,
well, everything that was on that wish list materialized. And come December, we should be in this new property, Chisholm Hills Golf Course Banquet Hall. So Sharon, tell them a little bit about this building.
Yeah. First of all, I mean, this really completes the story of like the phoenix who rose from the ashes, because this was so much bigger than I know I had ever conceived of. This truly is a Unity campus. And I got another slide here to just show you how it checks off. But I love that we saw this white egret landed when we were out there walking through the building. And as we left, it spread its wings and flew off as we left. And I joke that now the Unity dove is now an egret. You know, this is our phoenix. It's this beautiful white bird with a big wingspan. And I think we're going to probably live in to that expanded wings. The thing that is universal, everybody that sees this property says, there's so much we can do here. All I hear is potential and excitement when people look at the building. So let's go back to that wish list. So handicap accessible, 200 seat sanctuary, fellowship space, 3-stall bathrooms, actually 4 stalls, several offices and places, more than 2, a large commercial kitchen, more storage that we don't even need that much now because we lost so much of our stuff we were holding on the fire, multi-purpose rooms, utility room with mop sink is in the kitchen. Yes, we got the mop sink. It came with a washer, dryer, utility sinks, everything. We have 85 paved parking places and another 100 plus on the ground. So we're more than 100 plus. Let me see what else was on there. Oh yeah, 10 to 12,000 square feet. Yes, we actually probably have about 20,000 if you include everything, but very much at 10 to 12,000 within the main building. And the parking space.
We have, I believe, 7 or 8 handicap spaces too.
Yeah.
And you know, you can walk right in down where the sanctuary is and everything. And in the future, you'll be able to get into where the offices are. Right now, they are not handicap accessible, but there's only just a couple steps. And we are going to modify that.
What I thought was just amazing was this was the wish list picture. And then, oh, yes. And right around the $500,000 mark, we were 582. But the main thing is that we have no mortgage. You're able to pay cash for this. And look at how close those two things look. I mean, it was just, just amazing how close the vision was. Oh, okay, end of slideshow. The vision was what we actually got. So, you know, Nan, thank you so much for putting that history together, because it puts everything in perspective. And just deep appreciation, I think, from all of us for Holmes Street. I mean, that building it's almost 100 years old now. It's brought us a lot of joy, the concerts, the bands, the games nights that were had there. I've heard of birthday parties and showers and kids' days, the Halloween party we had downstairs, Quantum Healing Day when the building was filled every corner with different modalities of health and wholeness. Just
we had
absolutely
a baked
amazing.
potato sale. Remember the baked potato sale?
Oh, the baked potato sale. Yeah, that was a great luncheon.
That old stove, it worked like a charm. That big
Yeah.
cast iron thing.
And so glad we were able to send that to the Fledge. And, you know, we hosted some of the New Thought musicians there. We've created a lot of memories, and we're so appreciative of this building and how excited I am that we get to break open a new building into the next home for Unity. So, Nan, thanks so much. And
you're very welcome.
Not just for the PowerPoint, thank you for over a decade of looking. And I know that we found this incredible property because of the collective consciousness of all of us in Unity. There is big hearts, there's that force for good, there's that ability to vision and dream even beyond what seems reasonable. And we get to receive into manifestation. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I would like to say one more thing.
Yeah.
That the journey sometimes is more exciting than it coming to an end, because I've done this for so long and it was like, okay, we've got a property. What am I going to do now? And things are coming up. Just the next steps are there for me wherever I want to go. And so I just want to let everybody know that, you know, we've gone on this journey, and the egret means that we're going on another big journey. So we're all set to go. So,
and when it struck me, we're taking the light from Holmes Street, our light as a community, and bringing that lantern into the new building. But I also strikes, so lantern, I think, is going to be a symbol for us going forward. And I also think bird, whether it's the egret, the dove, feathers, angels, egret, something in there is all together. And it's like, this is the ride that we're on. We're flying, we're soaring. We are moving into being our full potential. So, and what a good reminder that there's a sadness when things end, just like there's a sadness for leaving Holmes Street, even as we feel excitement for the next step. There's a sadness for completing projects that we've worked on so long that they come to an end, but that's just making way to. Great, thank you. Okay, Dan and I'll be back with some other things shortly.
Okay, well, let's go on to our next slide here, because we took a moment because of COVID and because of social distancing, we couldn't bring people together to say goodbye to Holmes Street. So Dan Maynard and I took a little journey in there, and on behalf of all of you, we shared our heart, we shared our memories, we shared our joy. So I'm going to just get to this slide. And whoops, that's the same one again. Let's go. There we go. So open your hearts as we say goodbye and thank you. And so we say goodbye to Holmes, but we say hello to what comes next. So I just have a couple pictures here from today. Let's get on to the next slide. Let's see if I can change this. Okay, why do you want to stop there? There we go. Okay, we are off to our final slide here. I'm just going to pull this across because today at 11 o'clock, we sign the final papers on our new property at 2395 Washington Road. There is a bit of that incredible check we wrote for $572,410. We'd already given them $10,000. There is Dan Maynard, our board president, and Nancy Cody, our board vice president, signing the papers. It is ours. Now that all that has to unfold is for the virus to dissipate as we come together once again in person to co-create. You know, it's not the last chapter of the book. We have just gotten a new book with all blank pages. So look forward to seeing you at our new Unity campus. God bless.